And this story really jumped out at me, Bridget, because a murdered man has addressed his killer in court through an AI-generated video. Here to tell us about it is national technology reporter Ange Lavoipierre. Goodness, explain what happened.
Yeah, well, this is the first time we think that this has happened anywhere in the world. I can't find any other instances. But yeah, there's this guy named Christopher Pelkey, who was 37 when he was killed in 2021, as you say, in a road rage incident. And this month has been the sentencing for his killer. And the family, you know, it's pretty normal to have sentencing, to have victim impact statements as part of sentencing in court. But the family took a really novel approach here. They actually created an AI-generated avatar of Christopher, in particular his sister, sort of drove this process, and they had this video, this extraordinary video that they played to the court. Let's hear a bit of it.
So, to Gabriel Horcasitas, the man who shot me, it is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances. In another life, we probably could have been friends. I believe in forgiveness and in God who forgives. I always have, and I still do.
So that was not quite Christopher Pelkey, but an AI-generated avatar of him, this 37-year-old man who was killed, addressing this court. And it really is potentially a pretty interesting indicator of where things could be going in terms of, what court proceedings could look like in the future.
Wow. And could AI avatars be used this way in Australia, do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think I actually went and read some of the rules for Australian courts at the moment, and Australian courts in general take a more conservative, cautious approach than US courts. So, you know, it makes sense that it's happened first in the US. There are some direct prohibitions in some jurisdictions, for example, in New South Wales Supreme Court. It's less explicit elsewhere, but I think it'll be a while before we ever see this. Just some of the people I've asked around, in the legal profession in Australia have said they would be shocked to see it here. But I think what this does demonstrate is a really powerful use case for it, right? Like, we've seen AI be misused in the courts, lawyers being caught out using AI-generated statements with, or submissions with made-up cases, made-up case law that never happened. So we kind of got off on the wrong foot, but this is, a pretty powerful use case. And the judge in Arizona said that they were, moved by this testimony. So it does, it's a slightly more positive application, I think.
And on another topic, Australia's had a record-breaking number of privacy breaches last year. You've actually reported about some of this. Talk us through that. One important thing to note here is that not all of the breaches are malicious, but we are seeing a rise.
Yeah, that's right. So this was these were some pretty unfortunate figures that came out this week from the Privacy Commissioner. There have been 1,100 privacy breaches in 2024, and those are just the ones that were reported to the regulator. Reporting is mandatory, but you can imagine that some of those, some of them don't make it all the way to her desk. It's a 25% increase on last year. And as you say, Bridge, yes, malicious activity is the major driver here. It's, something like 69% of what's responsible for these breaches, but it's not all of them. That's still a third, which come from, I guess, more innocent breaches, these accidental breaches. In fact, we did see one this week, the Australian Human Rights Commission reporting that they'd accidentally uploaded 600 submissions in a way that did breach the privacy of some of those people, and those were available online for a week or so in April. So it's, it's a frightening space. But as always, my message here is that this is not a message for people to give up. It's a message that the risk is there, but there is plenty that you can do as well to protect your data.
All right, Ange, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks.